Big round this week from a nature point of view. The wildlife presenter Chris Packham talked about being sent death threats after he campaigned against the shooting of birds like crows and magpies, which have been regarded as pests in the countryside. Now, his support of Natural England's decision to revoke licences that allow the killing of these sort of birds has been met with a lot of anger from those who are protecting livestock. Now, here's what he said, Chris Packham that is, to Good Morning Britain.
What this would do would stop the vandalistic killing of millions of birds across the UK, which are not killed because they're damaging crops and pets. They're killed because people just want to go out and kill things for pleasure. You've had to step up security at home. OK, so the police have spent quite a considerable amount of time at my house over the last few days. We've had packages sent containing human excrement. Honestly, I find this disgusting. This should not be happening. I'm very resistant to this sort of thing. It's part of a process that I will have to go through to effect change, and I am determined to do that, and I'm going to.
OK, there's been a big update on all of this. Overnight, the Environment Secretary, Michael Gove, he has said that Natural England are to be stripped off these powers when it comes to gun licensing, OK? And we're going to get the view now of Selina Scott, the TV presenter. And Selina, as I understand it, you have a I don't know how you would describe it, land, a farm, whatever, in Yorkshire, and shooting these sort of birds like crows, whatever, would be normal for you. Tell us how it impacts on what you do.
Well, Eamonn, first of all, I'm here in Mallorca. I had to flee North Yorkshire this springtime, with normally I'd be there to watch everything going on. It's the most magical time of year. But crows, for example, are like the Attila Hun of the bird world. You know, they need to be fed, and they go for vulnerable creatures. They go for lapwing, they go for curlew, they go for oystercatcher, they go for skylark, they go for ground-nesting birds, which are on the endangered list, the red list. And my farm in North Yorkshire is in a valley, and my farmhouse sits on an elevation, and I have a panoramic view of all the nests. I can see with my binoculars exactly what's going on. 2 years ago, I decided that I would ask someone who is a crack shot to come along and kill the carrion crow before these plovers, lapwing and curlew even began to nest. And it had a miraculous effect. The numbers rose. Instead of having one chick, maybe, 5 were reared. With the curlew, they managed to get the curlew chicks, unfortunately, and the curlew hasn't raised any chicks now for the last 3 years.
But Selina, wouldn't people say?
Of the curlew.
Sorry to interrupt you.
It's so vital.
Wouldn't people say? That's nature. I mean, it's cruel sometimes. We all see that when we're watching wildlife programmes. That is nature. And the crows also have their own young. So they all have predators, don't they, in the wild?
Yes, but the balance of nature, Ruth, has been disturbed by man over many years. Red-listed birds, the ground-nesting birds, we're going to lose them. And springtime is not going to have the same impact for generations ahead. It's going to be very quiet. It's going to be not as interesting and not as magical as it should be. And that's why I have taken the unnecessary, the awful decision to kill crows. I don't want to kill any animals, but I have to do it.
This is a good time to bring Mike Dilger in, who's with us in the studio. Mike is an ecologist, a wildlife reporter. So, Mike, Selina's saying, these crows have taken over, and this is the only way that she can protect the species of birds which are endangered.
We've created a landscape where birds like lapwings, redshank and curlew are disappearing because we've industrialised our farmland. We've asked farmers to produce more food, and they've responded. And actually, lots of the birds have suffered. That's the reason why lapwings and curlews and redshanks are disappearing. So we've got a much reduced population, and we've created a landscape where crows, magpies, jackdaws, wood pigeons are doing really well. And what we're doing in many ways is we're punishing the ones that have actually been quite successful. The crows, for example, have got an image problem. It's a kind of black, malevolent bird. And the whole reason for this ban is to stop. It's not trying to stop people, for example, to protect their farms and protect their crops and protect their livestock and protect rare birds on their nature reserves. It's trying to stop people shooting willy-nilly. It's trying to stop people going... Because the whole point of the licence is that it's a general licence, and so you can say, I can shoot birds because Natural England have said if there's a problem with the birds in terms of on your land, then you can shoot them, but you have to go through non-lethal means first.
Is there anything else Selina could do besides shooting?
To get rid of them?
It's a very, very difficult one. Certainly,
she's got
the RSPB Reserve have got over 200 reserves, and they practice very limited shooting on about 15 of those nature reserves, and they publish all their results. One thing you can do is you can try and scare them away, but also as well you may well be kind of harming the kind of lapwings and the redshank and the curlew.
Well, I'm assuming
what you can also do as well...
probably tried to scare them away, and it's not as effective, obviously,
It's not as
shooting
effective.
them.
Certainly on nature reserves, you can try and take out fence posts and trees and anywhere that the crows can perch, because if they can sit there and perch and they can look around and find out where their nests are, then they can predate on the nests.
So you agree that they are overrun in terms of numbers, but you don't agree with kind of culling them then?
I do agree with culling in very, very special cases, absolutely. And people who've got a problem can still apply to Natural England and have a licence to have these birds taken out. But what it's stopping is it's stopping people who don't like jays or magpies in their garden, potentially kind of landowners who've got a prejudice against these birds, shooting them willy-nilly, because a lot of birds have been killed
let's go back
unnecessarily.
to Selina in Mallorca. So, Selina, you can actually apply for a licence. If you believe and can prove that you do have a problem, that your land is overrun by these predatory birds, you can apply for a licence. Have you done that?
I have done, Ruth. But it's too late now. The birds are nesting. Crows will be raising their own young. I don't want to be shooting young birds in the nest. The other thing, of course, is that all these birds that Mike talks about, you know, being predated by crows and other things you can do. I've chopped down willow trees. I've taken perches off. I've taken hedges right down. I've run out in the morning in my gym jams to try and stop the crows from targeting the lapwing. I've even laid hen's eggs. I've done everything I can possibly do. And I agree with him. I think that if Natural England had only done this a month from now, if they'd just let this month go by so that these endangered species on the red list could have a chance, and then discuss general licences or individual licences, absolutely, I think it's an important thing. But Natural England, I think, are overworked.
Selina, when you come back from Mallorca and you go back home, are you expecting the worst in terms of what's left?
Yes. Absolutely. I left with these. I have 7 lapwing nests. I have 1 curlew nest. I have 4 skylarks nests. I can see every one from my bedroom window. And I know when I get back, there'll be nothing. There'll be nothing. If there's 1 chick running around, I shall be, kind of pleased. But that's 1 whole year of chicks that will have gone. And I actually quite like crows. I love watching them. It's not that I hate crows. I have a phobia about crows. And I've taken this decision not because I want to, but because I feel I have to.
But Selina's point is, Mike, that crows will survive this. The birds she's talking about cannot survive this. But crows and blackbirds, magpies, they'll all survive this. There's enough of them.
This is the thin end of the wedge. I'm agreeing with Selina the fact that she patently loves the birds on her land, which is absolutely fantastic. I think what everybody agrees is that Natural England suddenly brought this in at a very, very difficult time when lapwings are raising their chicks and redshank are raising these chicks, and no one had any chance to actually respond and react to this. And new licences will come in, so people who care about these birds will be able to kind of respond and protect them against principally carrion crows and foxes. But what it stops is it stops the casual person from just enacting his prejudices and shooting willy-nilly all over the place and taking out all manner of...
Guys, you have to prove you have a problem. OK,
yeah.
Thank you very much. I think, like we said, it's not the end we've heard of that, according to Michael Gove.
No. Selina, thanks very much indeed. I hope things aren't as bad as you predict they will be when you return home. Really appreciate your time this morning. Lovely to see you. And, Mike, just before you go, what about all the warnings this week about 500,000 birds eaten by cats? A week, they're talking about. A week?
It's an astonishing figure, and that domestic cats are a huge predator in our midst. And whether you're a cat person or a dog person, I'm myself a dog person. I'm not massively fond of cats personally. I have a little mini, tiny nature reserve about the size of a tennis court. I put a camera trap down the bottom of the garden, and I thought I saw 1 or 2 cats coming in. I had 8 cats coming in my garden regularly. And interestingly enough, the Mammal Society reckon that cats take about 60 million small mammals a year. That's kind of mice, that's voles, that's shrews.
So what would you do about
We
cats
start
then?
culling cats.
Well, I think I'd encourage responsible cat ownership. Keep cats in when birds are about to fledge. When the blue tits are about to jump out of their box and fledge, keep your cat in. Put a bell on your cat and try and kind of exercise responsible cat ownership because undoubtedly we have a predator in our midst.
Well.
It's a whole other subject.
A whole other
Started.
subject.
OK, thank you very much, Mike.
I mean, half a million birds are killed by cats a week.
It's a lot.
A week, something like 27 million a year or so.
It's a lot.
Incredible.
It's a lot.